started talking about wrestling with the arms out here. The next step is wrestling with the body. And one of the things I don't know if I mentioned, I want to be specific about. We're not grabbing cloth today. So there's some stuff in the manuals that's grabbing somebody's jacket, but that's very specific. I think technology changes how we fight. If you have a gi jacket versus if you have a jacket that doesn't have an open collar, it changes where your grips are. And if you have a t-shirt versus whatever. So we're focusing on the techniques that are grabbing the handles on the human body. We're not worrying about clothing grabs today. And that in itself changes things. If we're wrestling by grabbing cloth, we might be out here more at that arm range. And we're coming in this way. When we're grabbing the body, like control points, secondary I talked about the wrists and the elbows and the knees and the ankles. But the main thing I want to control are his head, his shoulders, his hips. So, as I'm coming in to wrestle at the body, what we're going to do is what in wrestling is called a swing drill, or pummeling drill. I'm basically going to swing this arm under his arm. This is called an underhook. This, not shockingly, is called an overhook. Underhook usually trumps overhook. Not always, but usually. So in general, we want to be fighting for this. As we wrestle, he's going to want an underhook in his own. So we're here, the swing happens, and I try and get my underhook on his overhook side, and he does the same thing. So we're switching here. I want to be with my knees bent, or I'm in an athletic stance, on the balls of my feet, I can move, I can push. But, at the same time, one thing in wrestling is, if he can get his hips under my hips, he's got power over me, he can attack me. If I'm here, I can become a little more upright than I could when we were here. The reason being, squat down. You can do that. Squat down. I can hold him up a bit and block him out. So I can play a little more upright. And I can do the tip that way. So, as we're here in the swing posture, again, I've got this idea of if I draw my hips, straight lines out from my hips, I can attack him if he's in that space. Here, not so much. Here, I can attack him. So there are going to be times when I'm attacking and I'm turning, but that's the action of the attack. When I'm fighting for position, I want to keep my hips pretty square to me. And I want to be leading slightly with my underhook arm and my underhook leg. It doesn't have to be dramatic, I don't have to be in here. But it's a slight lead here, so as we swim, slightly there, slightly there, and I can go this way. Bread's be really nice right now. If I can tip him this far, I've got my winning set. That's important to know. It's also important to know probably won't happen. You know, if you get here and you get tipped way over here, in your disco stance, that's awesome. And that's something to be fighting for. But he's going to be trying to do the same thing to me. So if I tip this way and he tips that way, neither one of us gets it too easy. The pressure I'm going to be trying to apply, we're going to talk about in a minute, how I move him. I'm either going to be tipping him this way, or driving in with my shoulder, or circling back and pulling the elbow with my overhook. Those are the main pressures. So tip, push, twist. I'm going to try and get him moving around where I can attack him. But right now, I don't want you to worry about that too much. I just want you knowing there's some pressure there so that we don't see this swimming. If you feel like you're in a Woodstock reenactment, you're doing it wrong. So, there should be some pressure with that shoulder and some weight. One other thing, in the past I've done a lot of stuff on head position. We're not doing that as much today, but the position of my head is really important. When we're doing this, there are two places my head can be. I can put my head into his ear and his jawline here, and use it to help my leverage. Or I can put my head over this shoulder as I sag over this shoulder, and it helps me drive in and put some weight that way. If I'm here, then either we're maintaining distance to make room for our heads, in which case we're not transferring the force through our hips and our shoulders as well, we're out here in our arm range. Or we're repeatedly headbutting each other. Neither of which is a good thing. So, play it around here, swim, or you can play it here, and you swim, and come here. So, we're going to do a nice, low intensity swim session for a second. Again, you want that shoulder pushing in, you want a slight lead on your underhook side, slight tip toward that overhook, your weight's on there, and either your head is coming over that shoulder, or it's driving in here. When I'm putting my head in here, I'm not going smack to get it there. I'm tucking in to his chest and sliding in, and that's a safer option. Make sense? That head pressure here is tipping his head. That's changing the orientation of his spine, and that's giving me a different sort of leverage.
It's a good fifth line.
So, with your partners, start with one arm underneath, slightly forward stance. You don't have to be as deep as your wrestling stance was out here. So you're a little closer in, you're a little more upright. Get there. For now, let's try starting with your head over the overhook. Sag in that direction, feel that balance, and then start swimming. As you swim, your stance is going to switch, and you're going to put that shoulder pressure into the chest.